The envelope trembled in her hands. Inside, a single photograph, her sister's face, pale against hospital sheets, cradling a newborn she would never see grow up. Across the polished mahogany desk sat the man responsible for everything. Dante Moretti, the name that had destroyed her family. His dark eyes fixed on her, unreadable, dangerous. "You have 60 seconds to tell me why you're here," he said, voice like ice over steel. "Before my men remove you." She lifted her chin, even as her heart hammered against her ribs. "I'm here about Elena Rivera." His entire body went still. "And the daughter you don't know exists." This is a story of betrayal, loss, and impossible redemption. A story where the past refuses to stay buried and the truth demands to be heard. If you want to know how a single choice destroyed 2 lives and created 1 more, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every view helps us bring more stories like this to life. Maya Rivera had waited 5 years for this moment. 5 years of watching her niece grow up without a mother. 5 years of carrying the weight of her sister's last words. 5 years of planning exactly what she would say when she finally stood face to face with Dante Moretti. The Moretti building dominated the Manhattan skyline, glass and steel stretching toward the clouds, a monument to power built on blood and fear. Maya's reflection stared back at her from the lobby's polished floors. She barely recognized herself. The girl who used to share a cramped apartment with Elena in Queens was gone. In her place stood someone harder. Someone who had learned to survive. "Can I help you?" The receptionist's voice dripped with polite disdain, eyes scanning Maya's discount store dress. "I have an appointment with Mr. Moretti." The lie came easily now. "Name?" "He'll want to see me." "Tell him it's about Elena Rivera." Something flickered across the receptionist's face. Recognition, maybe, or fear. She picked up the phone, spoke in hushed tones, then looked up with barely concealed shock. 40th floor. Someone will escort you." The elevator ride felt like descending into hell in reverse. Each floor took her closer to the man who had destroyed everything. Her sister's voice echoed in her memory. That last phone call, Elena's words broken by sobs and pain. "He gave me money, Maya. $50,000 to disappear. Said the baby would ruin everything he'd built. Said I was nothing but a mistake." The elevator doors opened to reveal a world Maya had only seen in movies. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the scene herself to speak. She scribbled an address on a piece of paper, her apartment in Queens, a universe away from this glass tower, and placed it on his desk. "Tomorrow, noon. Don't bring your men. Don't bring your world. Just bring yourself." She turned to leave, made it 3 steps before his voice stopped her. "Maya." She looked back. His eyes were still on the photograph, on Elena's face, on the tiny bundle in her arms. Was she? He started again. Did she suffer? The question, so quiet and broken, nearly undid her. "Every day," Maya whispered. "Until the very end." She left him there, surrounded by all his wealth and power, staring at the ghost of a girl he'd tried to erase. The elevator doors closed on his silhouette, a man who commanded empires but couldn't command the past to stay buried. Tomorrow would bring answers. Or more devastation. Maya couldn't tell which anymore. Dante didn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse apartment as Manhattan glittered below him, that photograph propped against a whiskey glass. Elena Rivera. He'd spent 5 years trying not to think about her. 5 years telling himself he'd made the practical choice. The necessary choice. Lies were supposed to get easier with time. These ones had only gotten heavier. He remembered everything. The way Elena used to sneak into the estate's library while her aunt cleaned, reading books she carefully replaced exactly as she'd found them. How she'd looked up one day and caught him watching. The slow bloom of something neither of them had planned. stolen moments that felt like rebellion against everything his life was supposed to be. And then the pregnancy. The panic in her eyes. His father's cold voice. The Castellano deal depends on your marriage to Sofia. Do whatever you need to do to fix this problem. So he'd fixed it. Signed a check. Watched Elena walk away. Married Sofia 6 months later in a ceremony that made the society pages and meant absolutely nothing. But as he walked back to his car, a black Mercedes that cost more than this entire building, he couldn't stop seeing Isabella's face. Couldn't stop hearing her innocent question, "Do you have kids?" He did. He had a daughter. And he had absolutely no idea what to do about it. His phone buzzed. His second-in-command, "Boss, the Volkov situation needs your attention. When will you be back?" The Volkov situation. A territory dispute with a rival organization. The kind of problem he'd normally handle with cold efficiency and calculated violence. His world. His life. The only thing he'd ever known. But for the first time in years, Dante wondered if it was the only thing he wanted to know. 3 days passed. Maya didn't expect to hear from Dante Moretti. Men like him didn't disrupt their lives for inconvenient truths. She'd seen the calculation in his eyes, the way he'd measured Isabella against his empire and found her wanting. She'd been a fool to hope. Then, on the 4th morning, a knock came at her door. Not Dante. A woman, early 50s, kind eyes, wearing a neat blazer. Maya Rivera? "My name is Patricia Chen. I'm a family attorney. Mr. Moretti retained my services regarding Isabella's custody and care." Maya's blood went cold. "He's trying to take her." "No." Patricia's voice was gentle. "He's trying to make things right." For the next hour, Patricia laid out a proposal that made Maya's head spin. A trust fund for Isabella's education. Health care coverage. A larger apartment, fully paid, in Isabella's name. Child support retroactive to her birth. And most surprising, no custody demands. Dante wanted to be part of Isabella's life, but on Maya's terms. "He doesn't want to uproot her," Patricia explained. "He understands she's stable with you. But he wants to provide. And he wants visitation rights. Regular visits, supervised by you initially, with the goal of building a relationship." "Why?" Maya couldn't stop the suspicion. "What's in it for him?" Patricia smiled sadly. "I've been a family attorney for 23 years. I've seen every kind of custody battle. Parents fighting over children like property. But Mr. Moretti? When he came to my office, he showed me that photograph of Elena. Said he'd made the worst mistake of his life. Said he couldn't fix what happened to her, but he could make sure her daughter never wanted for anything." Maya's eyes burned. "This doesn't erase what he did." "No, but maybe she understood something I didn't." "What's that?" "That people can change. That love doesn't keep score." She met his eyes. "You're not the same man who handed her that check." "I see it." Isabella sees it. Dante looked like he wanted to say something. Instead, he just nodded and left. But the next Tuesday, he showed up with a new children's book. Thursday, he brought art supplies. The following week, he came early to help Isabella practice her letters. Week by week, visit by visit, the stranger became a fixture. The fixture became familiar. And one evening, as Dante was leaving, Isabella ran to him and wrapped her arms around his legs. "I love you," she said simply, with the uncomplicated honesty of childhood. Dante froze. Maya watched emotions flash across his face. Shock, fear, wonder, grief. He knelt slowly, carefully, and pulled Isabella into a real hug. "I love you too, princess," he whispered, voice thick. "More than you know." Isabella pulled back, studying his face with those two observant eyes. "Are you sad?" "A little." but also really, really happy. That's silly. You can't be both. When you're older, you'll understand. Sometimes the best things in life come with a little sadness attached. After Isabella skipped back to her toys, Maya walked Dante to the door. She's starting to ask more questions. About her father. About why he's not around. Dante's jaw tightened. What do you tell her? The truth. That he had to make a hard choice before she was born. That he didn't know how much he'd love her. That sometimes adults make mistakes. She hesitated. She's going to figure it out eventually. That you're her father. I know. How do you want to handle it? Together, Dante said immediately. When the time is right. When she's ready. We tell her together. The "we" hung in the air between them, an acknowledgment that they'd become something neither expected. Co-parents. Allies. Maybe even friends. Tuesday. Maya asked. Tuesday, Dante confirmed. I'll bring dinner. Real dinner, not takeout. You cook? A ghost of a smile. I'm full of surprises. As he walked away, Maya realized the impossible had happened. Dante Moretti, the man who had destroyed her sister's life, was becoming part of hers. And stranger still, she was hard ones. About Elena. About what happened. Then we'll answer them. Together. He looked at her. I know I don't have any right to ask this, but I want to be more involved. More than visits. I want to be her father in every sense of the word. What does that mean? It means I want her to know my world, but I also want to be part of hers. It means, he ran his hand through his hair, uncharacteristically uncertain. I bought a house. In Westchester. 6 bedrooms. Yard. Good school district. I want you and Isabella to move in. Maya stared at him. You want us to move in with you? Separate wings. Your own space. But together. A family. He met her eyes. I can't change the past. But I can give Isabella a future where she doesn't wonder if her father wants her. Where she has everything she needs. Where you don't work 2 jobs just to survive. Dante. I'm not trying to buy you. Or buy her love. I'm trying to do what I should have done 5 years ago. Take care of my family. The word hung between them. Family. Maya looked around her cramped apartment, peeling paint, ancient appliances, walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' arguments. Then she thought of Isabella, already struggling with the truth. Already needing more than this small world could give. On one condition, she said finally. We're not your charity case. We're partners in this. Equal say in Isabella's upbringing. No dictating, no controlling. You may be used to running an empire, but this is different. Agreed. And the house is in Isabella's name. So she always has a home, no matter what. Already done. Maya shook her head, almost laughing. You're serious about this. I've never been more serious about anything. His dark eyes held hers. I failed Elena. I won't fail Isabella. And I won't fail you either. 3. It's over. Isabella ran to him, and he caught her, held her tight. Over her head, his eyes met Maya's. We need to talk, his expression said. After Isabella was finally asleep, a process that took hours of reassurance and 3 stories, Dante and Maya sat in his office. Silence stretched between them, heavy with things unsaid. Volkov knows about Isabella, Dante said finally. He's been watching. Waiting for leverage. What did he want? Territory. Power. Control. Dante's jaw clenched. He threatened to hurt her if I didn't bend. Maya's breath caught. And I made it very clear what would happen if he or anyone else touched my daughter. Made it clear enough that he won't try again. But Maya, he looked at her, and she saw something she'd never seen in Dante Moretti before. Fear. This is my world. Danger. Threats. People who will use anyone I love as a weapon against me. I thought I could keep it separate. Keep Isabella safe by keeping her at a distance. But I can't. She's part of my life now, which means she's a target. So what do you do? I have 3 options. 1. I walk away. Leave the business, leave the life, take you both somewhere safe and normal. 2. I send you away. Set you up somewhere with new identities, protection, where no one can find you. 3. He stopped, started again. 3. I teach her to live in this world. Give her security, training, awareness. Let her grow up knowing exactly who her father is and what that means. Maya stood, paced to the window. The Westchester house sprawled below, beautiful, expensive, and now she understood, fortified. You're asking me to choose our future. I'm asking what you think is best for Isabella. What I think. Maya turned, and 5 years of grief and anger and grudging respect crystallized into clarity. I think Elena spent her last breath protecting Isabella from exactly this moment. I think she took your money and Dante had slowly extracted himself from the worst of his business, focusing on legitimate ventures. The transition wasn't complete, might never be, but he was trying. I've been thinking about Elena a lot today, Dante admitted. Isabella looks so much like her. She has your stubbornness, though. Unfortunately. He smiled, then grew serious. Do you think Elena would forgive me? For what I did? Maya considered the question she'd asked herself 1,000 times. I think Elena loved you despite everything. And I think she'd be proud of who you've become. Not who you were, but who you're trying to be. That's all I can ask for, I suppose. Isabella ran up, breathless and glowing. Daddy. Aunt Maya. Come see what Uncle Marco got me. They followed her to a corner of the yard where Marco stood beside a horse, a beautiful chestnut mare with gentle eyes. Marco. Maya laughed. This is too much. Boss approved it. Marco grinned. Traitor, Dante muttered, but he was smiling. What do you think, Princess? She's perfect. Isabella threw her arms around the horse's neck. I'm going to name her Elena. After Mama. Dante's breath caught. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Isabella had grown up surrounded by photos of Elena, stories about her kindness and courage. The grief had become something bearable, a bittersweet ache rather than a gaping wound. Your mama would love that, Dante said softly. That night, after the guests had left and Isabella had finally been coaxed to bed, Dante stood in his office looking at the photograph that still sat on his desk. Elena, pale and exhausted, holding newborn Isabella. He'd carried it through every office, every home, every new beginning. I kept my promise, he told the photo quietly. I protected her. I gave her everything. I became the man you believed I could be. I hope that's enough. Maya found him there, standing in the dark. Talking to ghosts? Something like that. She joined him at the desk, looked down at her sister's face. You know what Elena told me once? She said the best gift you can give a child isn't perfection.